Just a quick question. When they're into their story and you want to pause them, how did you get it? You don't want them to go on forever and ever.
In terms of the story and pausing it, we'll come on to that. We haven't done the conversational revivification yet.
Okay. So the other thing I was on my mind is really, but in this small talk, like really just showing a lot of interest. Like it doesn't have to be like too much small talk going on from your side. You know,
no. You do very little talking. You're just steering the conversations. You're not having it.
Right.
Right? The captain of the boat doesn't push the boat. He just steers. The boat does all the moving. He's the boat. You just have the steering wheel and just going to nudge it this way, nudge it that way. You don't want to nudge it too much because then, you know, it's like a car in this sense. If you turn the steering wheel too much, what do you get? Donuts. Right? So you're just nudging everything onto course. That's it. Right? Over here, just stand up. Just pass it down, please, guys.
Just want to make a meta comment, if it's okay, on all your programs. Okay. They all have the same underlying theme, which is resource, negative resource, whether it be PCAT or metaphors or Erickson. It's the same thing all the time.
Absolutely. I just keep repeating myself. One day someone will get it.
Well, I mean, they're all the same course. It's all the same course with a different mechanism.
Because, and the reason for that, and thank you for doing that comment, thank you for that, is because this is principle-based. These are principles. The principles, I think, are universal. The applications are different. The reason I have so many courses is because I'm just teaching you the same fishing trick in different oceans, right? So it's easy for me. It's just like, all right, how do I apply this principle in this scenario? All right, let's try it out. And then I can figure out how that works. And then when the scenario changes, well, we'll create a whole bunch of new techniques. This is why I'm not a fan of the obsession with techniques that we have. There's nothing wrong with techniques. But it's principles that liberate you. It's principles that keep you free. Techniques constrain you into just this, right?
It's the meta technique.
It's the meta technique, exactly. Yeah, thank you for that. Everyone good? Him? Oh, one more here, please.
I hope this fit in. But I have an actual situation that I have been working at doing small talk, very small talk. And it's with my daughter, and she's doing very well. You knew a little bit about it. But she threw in a wrench that I don't know if I handled it elegantly. She's been trying to get rid of this boyfriend bad seed, and she's been doing very well.
Good for her.
And then he won't leave her alone. He's just off the bunkers, you know, comes in and breaking everything. But anyway, she said to me yesterday, this actually happened yesterday, that she had a dream that she was jumping off, running from him, which I thought, oh, great. And then she got to a building where she had to jump off, and she couldn't jump off. And her interpretation was, and this is where I got stuck, her interpretation was that she couldn't get away from him. So I didn't want that to mean that she's stuck. So I said, don't ever do that, because that's victimhood. And I said, and they say, if you do it in a dream, you don't have to do it in the real world or in this world. So she said, maybe. And we left it at that. But I'm thinking,
So I think here's what's happened.
I didn't do it elegantly.
I think what's happened is you had too much of an agenda to reframe the meaning for her instead of letting her reframe it for herself, right? You try to find a positive spin on it. So here's a couple of reframes that are more global, that you don't have to specifically say what this actual dream means. Dream interpretation is a very subjective thing in this sense, right? So instead of this dream meaning that you can't get away from this crazy boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, first of all, realize that all dreams are a chance to process material, particularly emotional material from the day, right? So what if the dream just said, it's just showing you where you're at right now. In other words, you're trying to get away from him, and it's tough, right? Does that fit? Yes, done. She's no longer stuck on the idea that she can't get away from him. She just realizes right now you feel like you can't get away from him. And that's a total truth, isn't it? She feels like that, right? And as soon as that happens, the dream no longer locks her into a pattern where she can never get away from it. So the next question will be something like, so what do you think the dream was trying to tell you about being free of him? Can you hear the presupposition within that, right? In order to answer that question, she has to enter a world where she's free of him. It's exactly the same question that I asked, sorry for your name again. Jonathan, that's it. That I asked Jonathan, just phrased a different way. I presupposed the outcome. I haven't told her what the outcome is. I just presupposed the type of outcome. Let her fill blanks. Did you see how this works, guys? This is a classic bind. She's accepted the presupposition that she's going to get away from him, and any way she answers it, it's going to get there. Even if she says it's going to be really hard, you can nod and with commiseration go, I realize that. I know it's going to be really hard, and I'm glad you're strong enough to do that, right? Because the fact that it's going to be hard is irrelevant. What's relevant is it's going to happen. That's the bit that she's accepted. As soon as she fundamentally accepts that, her unconscious creativity will start making all kinds of things possible to make that more likely, right? Does this help?
Yeah. So I don't.
You pass the mic over.
So yeah, I didn't have to get stuck there. I could have just said, "Oh yeah, the dream is trying to show you that."
Here's the general problem, right? Who's trying to solve the problem?
She is.
Right. So why try and solve it for her?
Right.
What you did was try and solve it for her, right? It's you know, to use a very blatant analogy, it's like taking someone on a fishing trip and then taking the rod away and say, here's how you fish. Here's your first fish. Here's your second fish. Here's your third fish. You're doing good, right? You see how to do this?
Yeah.
And then next week, you can do it on your own.
Yeah.
They're going to starve. You can't do it for them, right? You can hint. You can nudge. You can demonstrate. But you can't do it for them, right? If I lift weights, I get stronger, not you, right? I've tried this. I tried to hire a personal trainer to exercise for me. They wouldn't do it, right? And we are the emotional, psychological equivalent of a physical trainer. Think of it that way. What are you training your clients to do? In this case, your daughter. What are you training them to do, right? Are you training them to rely on you, or are you training them to solve their own problems? You get the idea, guys? Is this useful? Yep. Good stuff? Yep. All right, let's get back to the actual exercise then, right? Say again? Yeah, outsourcing, exactly. I was trying to outsource my exercising, but it didn't work so well, right? So we're going to start off with a greeting ritual. So you are projecting friendliness, right? Remember the instant rapport technique? We're going to move into small talk, where you're going to focus on signaling care and appreciation. That is instantly going to open up the opportunity for big talk. And then you can go to big talk on any topic that is currently live in the conversation. The skill will be, can you convert it to one of these questions? Can you convert whatever big talk you're into fun and recreation? It's a lot easier than you think, or more appropriately said, it's a lot easier when you don't think, right?
You don't want to check in with calibration.
You'll be checking in with them.
The numbers.
Oh, you don't have to do the checking in. That's an exercise you can do when you go home. Remember, I promised you guys I'm going to expose you to as much of the year of ACHD as I can, and then assume you're going to go home and do the drills to really cement in the skills. Does that make sense, guys? Right? So once you're in big talk, generally speaking, you'll try and find a transition frame into a specific kind of big talk, in this case, recreational questions. Not because you want to ask everyone you meet about recreational questions, it's just so you have the skill of transitioning from a topic that's already kind of generally big talk into a big talk topic that's actually going to move you towards what I call work talk, which is the next phase. You're going to open up topics, right? So it's a good skill to develop. So you're going to have small talk, feed off whatever small talk you have into any kind of big talk that I can generate. And once you're in big talk, once they're already in big talk, you saw with Jonathan, they don't like to leave it. So you go back to a small talk version of, say, recreation, and they'll either suck it back into a big talk, which means you can run with it because they're giving you more than permission, or they'll bounce it back at you, in which case you'll just stick around small talk for a while, and you'll go into a different big talk before trying on recreation again, because this may be something that is a loaded topic for them. Do you see how that works, guys? So you're just going to keep going backwards and forwards to small talk, and see how much are they pulling you back from small talk to big talk. That's a good sign of success, right? And once they're in there, see if you can go even further than they expected, right? And in this example with Jonathan, the way you could do that would be when he lights up on something like the guava ice cream, right? That's an instant deepener right there. It's just waiting to happen, and you know it, right? Like, he's already going there without me even saying anything. Well, I actually said it, but just mentioning the ice cream, he's like going, yeah, just ask me, come on, please ask me. So with working with Jonathan, you have your life made it too easy, right? Questions about that? And all you're calibrating to in terms of watching their responses is how enthusiastically are they accepting your offers of big talk, right? If there's hesitation, you go back to small talk. If it's enthusiastic, you spend some time in that big talk, and then you go back to small talk as a way of kind of switching gears into another topic so you don't get stuck on the topic. That's not a good place to be in. Make sense? Yeah? Mike over here, please.
What if they want to keep you in the topic? What if they want to keep you in the topic? Like they come in
Then
and
do
they're
your
like,
best. Do your best to pull out of it, and we'll discuss it after you've done the exercise.
Okay.
There's no point in being afraid of something until after it's happened.
No, they come in.
No, I get it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
So have the experience first. If it happens, we can discuss it and find an actual solution to that. If it doesn't happen, then we can talk about it in a more general term. But let's actually have the experience first, because I think you'll be surprised with how much easier this is than you realize. Right? Remember, this is a lot easier when you don't think. Right? Okay, guys. So, yeah, you'll get both roles. So we'll do about 5 minutes apiece. And actually, we'll go 6 minutes apiece. That gives you a bit more time to get into stuff. So 12 minutes in total. And you'll switch roles halfway. All right, guys? Off you go. So how you guys doing? Good? You enjoyed it? So what happened? Did you enjoy the exercise? Did you learn something from it, importantly? Yeah? So comments, questions to stand up, Blake?
I found it extremely difficult to go from big talk to small talk.
Yes.
To
They
lead
don't
back.
like it, do they?
It was very, very difficult.
You see, this is what I love about this stage of your training, right? Because everyone's always afraid, how do I get into big talk? How do I do it? How do I do it? And it's not the question how do you do it. It's how you stop it long enough to get, the fractionation cycle going, right? And of course, different people will be different. You can't rush the small talk. That's the key. If you rush small talk, your big talk will fall apart. But if you take your time to lay the foundation in small talk, then they don't want to leave you out of big talk, right? And then this is an artificial rhythm. 6 minutes in terms of kind of big talk stuff. Most people can handle 6 minutes of positive, good emotions and the intensity that arises in them when they talk about these things. The reason the fractionation cycle makes more sense is when you're in, let's say, in a coaching conversation, you may spend half an hour going through resources, building stuff up and all the rest of it, and then they're a little bit drained. Now they'll need maybe 10 minutes of just chit-chat, just relaxing, how's the kids and all that sort of stuff, to just ease off a little bit again before we start another round of exploring things, right? Or maybe they started looking at an idea and they're beginning to accept that things could be a little different, but they're not quite there yet. So rather than just them straining consciously to try and find a solution, you may distract them with chit-chat, let the unconscious do a little bit more, and then you'll go back into the big talk by saying, oh, by the way, that thing, just tell me how are you dealing with that now? And then very often, they'll be surprised and go, oh, that's not an issue anymore, right? Oh, that's just completely different now because of this. Oh, tell me more. And you deepen the result there. Do you see how this goes? I can't teach you a specific formula for it because there isn't one. You've got to take the conversation as the conversation flows. But I can give you principles. And I think you guys are doing an excellent job at living up to these principles right now. Do you guys feel it? Can you feel your conversations having more bites? Even today, I mean, we're not even halfway through day 2, right? And what are your conversations doing now already that they didn't do before? Can you kind of conceptualize that, guys? This is a point where you take. Can you guys just take a hand up like this? This is not to ask a question. Just put a hand up. You actually turn it so it's facing towards you, right? And this may be a bit tricky for some of you, so you may want to experiment with it a little bit. But if you go over to the other side of your body like this, and you turn it over, you can give yourself a nice pat on the back. Because you guys did awesome. This is a pretty groundbreaking place you've gotten to, right? Do you feel it, guys? That's an important part. Do you get a sense your conversations are starting to really expand? Now, I'll give you a little warning shot right now, which is not all conversations will be this smooth. It won't, right? It's just the nature of the game. But there's more experience you build up, the more conversations will be like that, right? And more importantly, because you're beginning to understand the principles of what we're trying to do here, you'll know how to fix the broken conversations. Even if you don't fix them in the moment, there's lots of conversations I still mess up, but at least afterwards I can think about them and think about, what did I mess up? What was broken? What needs to be fixed? Maybe it's my emotions. That's typically the thing that happens right now, is I get a button pushed and then I'm off to the wrong kind of races, right? And then that's more personal growth I've got to do, so I can deal with that situation. At other times, someone might come up with a response that I'm stumped on. I go, I have never heard this before, and I've heard a lot of things, but not that, right? Then I got to go back and think, well, how does a principle deal with that kind of situation, right? So I can't give you a solution to every conversation you'll ever have. What I can give you is a set of principles that will allow you to figure out where the conversation fell apart and how to fix it, right? Now, even if you did it after the event, no big deal. You're still learning, you're still growing. No one's expecting perfection from you yet.